Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Nike Lebron 23. So it was very much anticipated for me because I found out that they had a full-length Zoom X drop in midsole and I was like, yo, that's gonna feel so freaking nice, and I got it in and I played in it. So here is my review, right? So if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave in the link in the description box. This shoe does retail for $210, which is freaking insane. When the LeBron 22 came out, this shoe was 180 bucks, and I think it was a $20 or $30 price decrease from the LeBron 21. And then the 22 came out, I was like, oh, Nike's for the people, LeBron's for the people, $180, that's amazing. And then, yeah, LeBron 23 is like, oh, no. Nike's like, screw you guys. We want more money. $210. You know what I mean? Which is freaking insane, guys. Like, 210 bucks. But this is the Miami Twice colorway. And, yeah, if you guys do want to cop, it does help me out if you buy it through the affiliate link in the description box, or the YouTube link will be right over here. And it's always saying so much for all the support. But let's get it started right off with the Tracciones. And, yeah, the overall outsole like design, there's a 2 and a 3. 23 for the 23, obviously, right? So here in this colorway, we have a translucent rubber, and also the actual outsole pattern is a wavy herringbone traction pattern. And we do have some like spots in the actual outsole where like it's open, you know? So I was a little bit worried about this kind of like ripping off or peeling off, but I didn't really have any issues with that. And a lot of you guys were worried about like the actual like parts of the upper that's like put together here. Like you can see the actual parts that are like knitted together, right? But I didn't really have any problems with that like falling apart, you know? Maybe it has to do with I'm a little bit lighter, but it doesn't seem like anything terrible happened for me in my shoes, you know what I mean? But yeah, how is the overall traction? The overall traction when you're playing on a clean court is really nice. There's a very nice bite. I would say it does get a little bit better once you break it in, but like when I first got it, it still had a really nice bite though. But once I broke it in, it got a little bit better. It got better and better. But I wouldn't say it's like top tier though. You know what I mean? Like top tier, I would say is like the LeBron 22 when you're playing on a super clean, immaculate court. Like the LeBron 22 has an amazing bite, you know? The LeBron 23, I would say it slides a little bit more, you know, even when I'm playing on a super duper clean court compared to LeBron 22, but it still has a very nice solid bite, right? So if you're playing on a clean court, very nice, right? Also, you need to break it a little bit. And also, this shoe does have a very nice loud high pitch squeak. Of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance, but if you like to have a nice squeak, this shoe has a nice loud high pitch squeak, which of course I did enjoy. But of course, dust performance, how is the dust performance? It's not that good. It definitely does pick up dust and reminds me actually a little bit of the Jaw 3 and the Sabrina 3. It's definitely not as bad as the LeBron 22, however. I mean, that's a good thing though. LeBron 22 was a dust magnet. It was terrible on dust. When I was playing on a super clean court though, I really like playing this shoe, right? But on dust, even like super slight dust, it was pretty bad, right? But LeBron 23 definitely is a lot better than LeBron 22 in terms of dust performance from my experience, but it's still not amazing. It definitely still does pick up dust, and also I do start to slide around because it is affected by dust a good amount. Like it doesn't bite through dust too well, but it was a pretty easy wipe though. So when I was playing on a slight court, it wasn't a huge deal. I don't mind wiping too much. So yeah, slight court, I was fine with it. If you don't like wiping, then, and also you know that you're playing on a slightly dusty court, this probably isn't the best option, but I feel like most people you should be fine, right? But once you get into like a pretty dusty court, like a moderately dusty court to a super heavily dusty court, this definitely isn't gonna be the best option. I don't think it's terrible though. It's not like bottom tier, like, oh, I was having a terrible time, but it still was picking up dust, right? Again, not as much as the 22 because this is bottom tier, right? But still not great. So just be careful. Like if you know you're playing on a super dirty court, this probably isn't the best option, right? And in terms of durability, nope. Like the rubber is pretty freaking soft and the grooves are really thin, you know? So yeah, and also you don't have a lot of surface area, right? You do have some open parts in the outsole. So if you're playing on an outdoor court, definitely not the best option for the LeBron 23. It's gonna rip off pretty easily in my personal opinion. So yeah, the overall traction is pretty dang nice. It was solid. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it was solid. And now moving on to the heel to toe transition. Overall, it was okay. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing that I don't like about drop-in midsoles that companies do. Is please, guys, if you're gonna give us a drop-in midsole, just give us like a midsole, like an outside midsole. You know, look at all this. This is all plastic, you know, and this is all rubber and it's pretty stiff. So when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court, it definitely does feel clunky here in the heel. You know what I mean? It's a little bit, it's more edged out though. Yeah, there's a rounded shape. It's not super boot-like, but compared to a lot of other shoes, you know, that have a crazy curved shape, this definitely does feel pretty clunky here in the heel, right? So that kind of sucks, but the drop in midsole with the Zoom X, it's really, really soft. My foot was like compressing that, so that felt pretty nice, but like on the outside, it's pretty clunky, you know? And then here in the forefoot, we do have a little bit of a curved shape. It's not super duper curved, you know, but it's a little bit. And also here in the forefoot, like at first it was really freaking stiff. Like when I first got it, especially with the upper being stiff and also the bottom of the shoe. But now that it's totally broken in, it's really easy to flex. Now look at that, super duper easy to flex. It's not explosive at all though. Look at this. It's not super explosive, which kind of sucks. That's the one thing that I really liked about the 22 is that, look at that. It has a really like explosive feel, you know, but the 23 is just, look at that. It's just really, really soft and flexible here in the forefoot. So I wasn't a huge fan of the heel to toe transition here in the 23, especially if you want a springy feel, but also if you want something really smooth, especially here in the heel, not great, right? And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So yeah, like I mentioned before, it is using a Zoom X drop-in midsole. And first of all, let me tell you the quality. The quality definitely is not the greatest. So I definitely noticed the Zoom X separating from the actual blue foam. Whatever blue foam this is, the Zoom X is actually this white part, right? But then if you look at it, I guess the glue just isn't great. They didn't glue it in properly, but there's certain parts of the actual drop-in where it's like coming off. Look at that. You know, so I don't know if, I don't think it's gonna be terrible, you know what I mean? Because it's inside the shoe, but yeah, the quality just doesn't seem great. And also we'll get to the upper as well. The upper quality just not the greatest either. But so when I first got it, the court feel actually wasn't that good. It felt to me like it was a little bit higher up off the ground than the Jaw 3s. And also the LeBron 22s, right? But I guess like it does bottom out a little bit, but the court feel is actually pretty dang good in the shoe now. You know what I mean? Like it feels comparable to the LeBron 22. I would say even like slightly better. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened, you know? But yeah, like I played in these and now I tried both of these shoes on at the same time, like literally right before filming this video. And I was like, what the heck? Like the 23 actually feels pretty good for court feel now. So yeah, it does bottom out with this drop in midsole, I guess, you know? But yeah, the one thing that I really like about this cushioning setup is the step-in comfort and the underfoot cushion, right? So it's really freaking soft. It's very, very comfortable. Would I say it's bouncy though? It's not super bouncy. There's a little bit of bounce, but there definitely are a lot of other shoes with a bouncier setup, you know, especially with foam, but also from Nike with like a Zoom Strobel unit or a Zoom unit. Those are going to be a little bit more bouncy than this setup, right? But it's just more soft to me, you know? Especially in the heel, it feels really freaking nice. And then the forefoot, it gets a little bit more dead because, you know, it's thinner here and also the offset is still pretty high. But yeah, it's not super bouncy though, you know what I mean? Also, the overall impact protection was pretty nice too. Like my foot never hurt when I was doing hard impacts or anything like that. Heel strikes, my foot was covered as well, so that felt nice too, right? But again, the thing that I don't like is the clunkiness here in the heel, and like it's not super nice to me. I just want something a little bit softer. I want something to compress, you know? But I do like how the court feel feels pretty nice now. It's just kind of weird, you know? But yeah, if you try the LeBron 23 on and you're like, oh, it's a little bit higher up off the ground, I don't like it, just, you know, give it some time. It's gonna bottom out. It's gonna get a little bit better for the court feel, right? Or at least it did for me. But is it like an amazing cushioning setup? Like, is it worth $210? No. You know, like there's a lot of cushioning setups. Like for example, like I would say in my personal opinion, I like the Tatum 4 better. The Tatum 4 is just super freaking nice with the zoom in the forefoot, the heel, and the court feel is nice. You know, it's just super soft and fun and has a nice little bounce. The 23, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not amazing, especially not worth the $210 price tag, you know what I mean? But yeah, it covers all the bases though, you know what I mean? Again, it has a little bit of a bounce. Step-in comfort and underfoot cushion is really soft and comfortable. Impact protection overall is pretty nice. It feels clunky here in the heel. Court feels pretty nice, you know what I mean? So it covers all that, but in my personal opinion, I feel like they could have done a little bit more, but maybe LeBron this year wanted to have something a little bit more mellow. Nothing like too bouncy or anything like that. But anyways, there is the cushioning setup there, and also again the drop-in midsole, the quality isn't the best, you know. And also on the bottom of the drop-in midsole, you have a carbon fiber miffed shank plate. So there's that. Moving on to the upper. So the upper is pretty nice where the jacquard is, right? So we have an engineered jacquard, and when I first got it, it was super freaking stiff. But now that it's broken in, it's actually a little bit softer. You know what I mean? It's weird because when I played in this shoe, and I played in this shoe for like a couple of games and I got used to it, I was like, oh, it's actually kind of soft. It's conforming to my foot pretty well, right? But then I switched into another shoe, you know, like that I was testing. For example, like the Wild 12, or I brought the Jaw 3s, you know what I mean? Or the LeBron Witness 9. When I switched into those, I was like, oh, the material is way softer and way, like, it just conforms to my foot really well. There's like no resistance, you know what I mean? And then I switched into the LeBron 23s again, and it's just a little bit stiffer and a little bit more, it just resists movement a little bit more, you know what I mean? Even though this is broken in, you know what I mean? And look at this, it's still a little bit stiffer than a lot of other materials. For example, like the 22, look at that. With the synthetic leather material, look at this, it just goes in, it's a lot softer. The 23 is a lot more resistant to movement, but now that it's broken in, it's a lot less resistant, but still resistant to movement, right? So it has more of a stiffer, more rigid, supportive feel. Also, there's no pinching either right now, right? Well, it's broken in, so it doesn't really pinch on top of my foot, which I do like, but again, it has that kind of glued down, stiffer feel. And also in this colorway with the jacquard, you can see like palm trees, which I really like. That's a nice kind of like detail, you know. And then going around the kind of like entire upper, you have this embroidered part, and it's connecting this jacquard to this kind of like plastic material, right? And not a huge fan of it because it just creases like, look at that. On the medial side, on the lateral side, just it's crazy for the creasing. So I'm sure a lot of people aren't gonna like that. I'm not a huge fan of that either, especially just in terms of look. And then for the tongue, we have an open mesh, and then on top we have like a leather material, right? It's not super well padded, but it does use a very similar padding to what's in the ankle area. So it does feel kind of comfortable, but it's not like super thick, you know? And it's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And also with the eyelets, it's weird because what the laces go through is like a wire. It's just one wire here on the lateral and medial side, and then the laces go through that. But then in between the like laces, you have like a strap. So you have a little bit more support, I guess, in the midfoot area. I don't know why you needed more support, but because this material is super stiff, but they added that, you know? And then here in the ankle area is literally the exact same as the LeBron 22, the 21, and the LeBron 20. So if you know what, you know, those shoes feel like in the ankle area, it's literally the exact same here in the 23. It feels nice and cozy. It's not super thick, but the actual foam that they're using, like it's like a memory foam like material, so it feels very comfortable, right? So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, I didn't mind it though. I never really, like, now that it's broken in when I played it, I don't mind it. I would say, like, if you want a more rigid, supportive, a stiffer material, right, then you'll like the 23, right? For me though, I'm lightweight. I don't really need too much support for my uppers, so I would rather have like a LeBron 22 type of material where it's a little bit thicker, but it's just softer, conforms to my foot very well, you know what I mean? So yeah, there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to my Nike size, and this shoe definitely does run a little bit long. So I went the exact same size here in the 22 and the 23, and the 22, my foot is, this is like a perfect fit for me, right? But the 23, it's a little bit longer, I would say, just a tiny bit, but with this material, first of all, it's really snug right on top of my toes. So I can't really curl my toes up too much, but also with the texture of the drop-in midsole, it's sticky, right? So because of that, I can't really curl my toes up either. So I don't really mind the extra length for me. So I feel like most people, if you don't mind that, then you should be fine going true to size. But again, just keep in mind, it might be a little bit long. And also for the width, it's actually like kind of wide. You know what I mean? Like now that everything's broken in, there's a little bit of space right here. And then once you get to the tip of the toe, it gets a little bit narrower, but overall, like right over here, it's a little bit wider, you know what I mean? But again, I don't really care about that too much because the lockdown is just so good, you know what I mean? Like the drop-in midsole, that texture on top of the drop-in is just so sticky that I don't really mind the extra width, I don't mind the extra length, and also with the kind of like snug toe box, it's just a really nice fit. It's not a perfect fit, it's not like a super nice fit, but because of all those reasons, I don't mind it too much, you know what I mean? So yeah, there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown, it's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of the more supportive shoes that Nike has to offer, right? So for lateral containment, like, look at this. You have, first of all, again, with that texture on top of the drop-in midsole, it's really sticky and just locks your foot in, right? But also there is a raised sidewall on the drop-in midsole, so that adds a little bit of support. And then also on the outside of the shoe, from the upper, you have this crazy plastic, and it's supposed to be the crown, you know what I mean, for King James. But yeah, that lateral containment, your foot is not going to come out of the footbed at all. I was good to go. I was covered, right? Also, lateral stability, you do have a very nice kind of like outrigger. So yeah, lateral stability was really good in this shoe for me as well. And yeah, overall, because of the forefoot being flexible, now that the shoe is broken in, I had no issues with heel slippage either. And this overall upper is just really stiff again, like I said. So it has a very nice stiff, rigid, supportive feel. But it's kind of weird because it has a lot of flex. It's really easy to flex in the forefoot. It's just a weird feel because a lot of drop-in midsole shoes like Kobe's, you know, the 808.5s, the 808.4s, you know, the Player One Pluses, you know, have a really nimble, flexible feel, right? But with a really thin and soft material as well. But the LeBron's has a really soft, nimble feel, but a way stiffer upper, you know what I mean? So it's a pretty different feel, but again, this has a really supportive feel to it, you know? And I would say, again, compared to all the guard shoes, like the Sabrina 3, Sabrina 2, Tatum's and stuff like that, Luka's, this has a way stiffer feel. So if you like that, if you like a supportive, rigid feel, you'll like the LeBron 23s a lot more, right? And then moving on to the weight of the shoe. This shoe is not super lightweight. You know, it comes in at 14.45 ounces. Very, very heavy, actually. Let's check the other shoe. 14.25 ounces, right? So the one thing that I liked about this shoe though is that it's not bulky though. Like the upper is actually like, there's not a crazy amount of padding. It doesn't feel bulky at all. Nothing protrudes out like crazy, you know what I mean? It's like pretty streamlined to your foot. So it doesn't feel bulky per se, but it does feel a little bit heavy though. You know what I mean? Like it feels heavy, it feels a little bit stiff because the upper is a little bit more on the stiffer side of things. But is it responsive? Yeah. Like when I was playing on a clean court, I felt pretty dang quick. However, it does feel, again, like the thing that I noticed a lot is the heel being pretty clunky. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you are playing on a clean court, I definitely feel like you'll like the shoe. But also if you're a guard or a bigger dude, you'll like the shoe as well if you're playing on a clean court and you want something responsive, right? But once you get into like a super dusty setting, it does start to slide around a little bit, you know what I mean? So yeah, there is a weight there. Moving on to the ventilation, nope, this shoe has no airflow. Literally, it's a pretty hot shoe. No airflow through this entire shoe. So yeah, ventilation not good. Moving on to the first of all, the durability of the shoe for $210 does not seem good, you know what I mean? The drop-in is having issues, right? The outsole with the rubber, like the soft rubber, does not seem super durable. The upper, I mean, the creases, there's not a crazy amount of like, I don't think it's going to develop a hole though, you know what I mean? But with the creases, I don't think a lot of people are going to like that either. So this shoe just doesn't seem like it'll hold up too well for a long time, you know? So there's that. Moving on to the aesthetics, I love it. This shoe looks absolutely amazing, right? Some of the colorways also that are coming out looks really, really nice too. So yeah, tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up. So to me, this shoe just feels like a softer LeBron 11 to me. You know what I mean? Which I guess is kind of a good thing. So it definitely feels a little bit of it like an improvement from the LeBron 11. Like I wasn't a huge fan of the LeBron 11 besides the drop-in midsole, you know? So yeah, the upper is way softer. The overall, the sole of the shoe is a lot softer, you know? Like, was I wowed by the shoe? Not really. Like, the only thing that I was wowed about from the shoe is the underfoot cushion from the drop-in midsole. You know, I was like, oh, it's like soft, it's comfortable. So I guess, you know, the underfoot cushion was nice though. Like, that's the only thing. But like, everything else is like for $210. Like, first of all, the shoe doesn't seem amazing for the quality. You know what I mean? Like, there's some, like the drop-in midsole is kind of like falling apart on me a little bit. Some people were actually having problems with the bottom of the shoe, you know, with the stitching, right? It didn't really happen to me though. So yeah, like just in terms of performance though, is it worth $210? No, definitely not, right? Is it a good performer though? Like I actually enjoyed playing in this. Like I didn't hate it. But it's not my type of shoe, obviously. But like when I was like testing it, I never really had any like super bad qualms. But like I wasn't like, oh, I hate this shoe. But there were like a couple of things. Like it's the upper's stiffer than I would like. You know, it's clunky. You know, the cushion I feel like could be a little bit better, but it's still pretty nice. The traction I feel like could be better, especially on dust, but it's still pretty solid. You know. So yeah, if you're balling, and I guess like if you're a bigger dude and you want like more of a supportive, stiffer feeling shoe compared to a lot of other Nike shoes that are out there, then I guess like yeah, you can definitely make it work, right? But if you're a guard, I don't think it's the best option, again, because it is on the heavier side of things. It's a little bit clunky, you know. But you can make it work, but I wouldn't recommend it, right? It's not the best option in my personal opinion. And yeah, I would actually even say just get the LeBron 22. But again, the dust performance is just so bad, so it's a little bit hard for me to recommend. But I would say if the LeBron 22 had a good dust performance, or just as good dust performance as the LeBron 23, then I would say just get the LeBron 22. You know what I mean? Because first of all, it's cheaper too. You can get it for like $100, you know. But yeah, also in my personal opinion, there are better options out there, like the Jog 3, you know, the Sabrina 3, which is more of a guard shoe. If you're looking for like a stiffer shoe, what's a stiffer shoe? Like the Jordan 40, I would say is better than LeBron 23, but pretty much the same exact price, right? The Harden Volume 9, the freaking A2s, even though it wasn't a huge fan. Oh, the Dawn Issue 7, if you want more of like a supportive feel, right? So yeah, that about concludes my performance review of the LeBron 23. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave in the link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.